Hello and welcome to my review of episode 4 of Primeval Series 1, written by Richard Curti and Bev Doyle, which is the first episode written by someone other than co-creator Adrian Hodges. This is directed by a new director as well, Jamie Payne, and I think it really shows in the episode because the direction of this episode is very different, but yet very similar, if that makes sense. So it doesn't feel like a different show, which I really like. Wow. Oh, what an episode. Lots of stuff happens in this episode. I think this is when the series really starts to pick up its pace after the phenomenal episode that was episode 3. Don't know where to start. Start with the plot. There's the main plot is about Connor's friends, Tom and Duncan. They've been, for the last 2 episodes, they've been suspicious of Connor. They didn't believe him when he told them, which lost Connor's job. It got it back in episode 2. Then last episode, they wanted to find out what he was being so suspicious about. They thought he had like a fossil dig or something, like he found a fossil substance of dinosaurs. But he's been missing out, like he hasn't been hanging out with them as much, so they're all suspicious. So this episode they go and Connor moves in with Abby, which is a nice little subplot. Yeah, he sleeps on a sofa because he loses his flat, probably because he can't get the key, because he loses his key in episode 1. But yeah, Abby and Connor move in together. So and Stephen thinks they're going out, well, or having sex, which is quite a funny scene. Again, Abby's in her trousers, in her knickers, which is just obvious reasons. They just wanted her in her knickers. But it's quite a funny scene because Connor's in his underwear as well, so it kind of makes up, like, it's not as bad. It's not just Abby in her knickers. I suppose they did put Connor in his underpants for the same reasons, really, for all the people who fancy Connor to see him in his underpants. But it kind of, like, it makes it, it's quite a funny scene, so you can't really moan about it. Tom's friend, Tom and Duncan, Connor's friends, like, follow them. They put tracking device on Connor's bag to kind of track down what he's like. They want to follow him and see where he's going. And yeah, some funny scenes with them. The episode really has like loads of false starts. Like it takes quite a long time for the plot to kick in, like episode 2. But with this episode, it kind of works. It's all action packed. Like beginning scenes, like a woman in a council estate. She's got like a hard, like all the kids are all like causing her problems, so she goes in. She's like a normal person, really. It's quite nice, like in the real it's not fake and it's the real world. So I really like that. And there's a giant. You think there's a creature in the toilet. It's like a snake, and so like, all that's interesting. And it cuts with all the soldiers like Ryan and his team going in there, and it's really funny dialogue. Like Cutter's like, she's like, I don't think like pest control took this stuff so seriously. He's like, oh, you'd be surprised how much like Trent Council take pest control seriously. It's just funny, and she screams when he's like, oh, it's only a python. It's like, ah, only a python. What were you expecting? And Connor's like, ow, eardrums. There's some really great like one-liners in here, and you see Steven scared of Snake. It's just funny. Then there's the other full start with Helen, who obviously was captured in the last episode, and you really see her being manipulative here. And her and Lester, they just opposites attract, like not in a sexual like way, but they're just so similar, if that makes sense. Like they're so different yet so similar. How like they're kind of both selfish. Like in this series, Lester's a bit like removed from the team, a bit more selfish. Like he just wants his job to be done, doesn't want any problems. Whereas in the later series, he kind of warms and becomes part of the team essentially. But him and Helen, they just fire lines back at each other. Like it's just, I can't remember all of them, but there's one line where she's like, I can tell you, he wants answers, and she's like, I can tell you one thing, you're the spit of a Utah raptor I met in the Jurassic period, which I just thought was hilarious. Her and Claudia, like at first Claudia's trying to like see the positive side. Just she just wants Helen to help. She's like, this is lives are at stakes. And then Helen starts trying to manipulate the situation, and she'll only do it if Nick's there. So Nick comes down into this big cellar-like place where they're questioning her, which is really, really creepy, eerie. The music works well with it. The direction, the scene is great. Helen's sitting at the table. Nick comes in. He gives this great speech, like, "Tell me what you know. Tell me why these anomalies are happening." tell me how we can stop them, and then maybe then I can help you out. And it's just like a really, I can't, that's not the exact speech, but it's just really powerful. Because it's his wife at the end of the day. He would rather it be on their terms. Like it's not what they'd he'd rather they be doing it like they were in it together. They were solving the mystery. Like Helen was helping out, and in a way, Helen wants the same thing, but she doesn't like. She wants it to be hers and no one else's. This big secret. Um, then the episode goes into. She says that there's saber-tooth killers, like saber-tooth cats, are gonna go through this anomaly unless she like they stop it, and like they're like, oh, where's the anomaly gonna be? Where's the anomaly then? She's like, I'm only gonna tell you if I can take you there. And Lester and Claudia are both just like, no, it's a trap. And Cutter, you kind of feel sorry for him because he's like, no, she just wants to prove that she wants to help. Obviously, it doesn't work out like that, and she just tricks them and goes through the anomaly. But it's another full start because you think, oh, the real monster, saber-tooth tigers, and you're like, well, cool, I'm Smilodon in it. This is cool. Go to this giant cafeteria in an arena or somewhere, I think it is, and there's another great bits of like Connor and the whole team just become one really, and Claudia starts to lose her patience with Helen now, and she just lets her have it, and Helen's great in it because Helen doesn't really care. Or she acts like she doesn't care, and quite patronising to Claudia, and that's a great scene with that. And Helen runs through the anomaly, so Ryan has to run back through, and Stephen kind of manages to get through as well. And instead of it just being like prehistoric times, it's a field full of anomalies, which turns out to be a spaghetti junction, as Connor says. And that's a really good scene. The CGI is great for the anomalies there. And it's like, I think they describe it as like a walking through a hall of mirrors. Like they'd never find Helen there. She could have went through any of them. So really like that. Which actually the spaghetti junction does reappear in Primeval later on. I think, well, I'm not sure if it reappears. I think it does reappear in Primeval, but I know it definitely reappears in Primeval New World, which is a spin-off series, a Canadian one. So check that out. I'll be doing a review of that as well. Yeah, then Dodos come through, so that this is when the plot starts to pick up. The Dodo comes through, which they're really cute. The CGI it's not terrible, but it's not the greatest of CGI. Like it's believable and everything, but compared to last week's CGI probably like really set the standards for the CGI. So it's not terrible, but the prosthetics they use for the dead Dodo really help make it more believable, because it just makes it feel more real. But we'll get on to the dead Dodo in a minute, because the Dodos are running around this cafeteria, and they've got to like put them all back through. And it's a really great moment. It's like a comedy moment. It's light and not too dark, and the team really become one. And the Dodo eats the tracking device. Tom and Duncan, which are just hilarious. They think it's Connor, because they capture this Dodo. They think, oh, they've turned Connor into a Dodo, and they're in this they think it's one big conspiracy, and they're going to sell the Dodo. The Dodo bites Tom, not knowing that these Dodos have this horrible parasite, and the team find this out when one of the Dodos at the site's died, so go to give it an autopsy. This parasite, like Cutter's describing it, lives off the host, dies of the host, and Lester's just like, isn't nature wonderful? And then I was like, that's just the greatest line so far of the series. Just the way Lester performs it is just phenomenal. He really deserves an award for, like Ben Miller really deserves an award for his acting. And then the rest of the story really is just Tom, Connor's best friend, dying basically. He becomes this parasite, like a vampire kind of thing. Not sucking blood, but he wants to bite everyone. His eyes become demonic. He's just crazy. Sorry, he goes to the doctors, and he bites the doctor. The doctor gets given the parasite. We don't actually know what happens to the doctor, but Cutter recommends he gets it removed from the parasite removed. So we assume that he lives. Tensions start to rise between Claudia and Cutter a bit. You kind of see there's a romance brewing, more from Claudia, I think. I think Cutter's not really looking for love, but I think Claudia's definitely got a crush on him at this point. Trying to think of the next what to say next, which is a bit ramble, so bear with. The next part I'll probably talk about is how there's great bits of Duncan where he's like, bad Dodie, bad Dodie. It's just hilarious where they're trying to train this little dodo. It's like they've created an attack dodo. Oh, what, these people are just so sick. It's just like, for people who are supposed to be really clever and intelligent and they believe in all these conspiracies, they're so stupid at the same time, which I think is great. And it all comes to a head, like, basically Tom's trying to find out this big, he thinks it's a big conspiracy, they're like trying to kill him and stuff, so he's on the run. He's trying to track Connor down to get in because he thinks Connor's part of this big like Illuminati kind of conspiracy, which is quite funny in a way. And he tracks down the Roswell key, which has actually been eaten by a dodo, which Abby's about to do an autopsy on. So he goes there. She's on her own. Stephen's like, you've made her bait, which is quite a good line, and probably the best acting from Stephen so far. The way he performs it, not probably the best, but it's good. The parasite in Tom is starting to work, like it's starting to die. It's laid its eggs in his head, which is really gruesome. There's some really gruesome scenes with the parasite like in his skin moving around on the CT scan. It's like moving through his brain, which is horrible. Really effective creature as well, because it shows not only is it like not a big rambling dinosaur. I haven't used a dinosaur, which I still really like. They've actually, instead of using this iconic creature of extinction, the dodo, which is cute, dumb, stupid, fluffy, like all like you wouldn't expect it to hurt anyone. Like Connor says, he's like, oh, the dumb, lumbering idiot bird, and it's just like it's really effective how they turn the dodo having a parasite into like a killer, and Tom's disease, instead of making the creatures the problem, it's a human. And Cutter says that like he's a human. He's not one of these creatures. He's got willpower, and it all comes to a head. And Abby's drove him around trying to prove that they're like, she's explaining to him like, we're not evil, we're the anomalies, which I think is a bit far fetched because surely he would have better by now with this parasite that it's not his fault, it's instinctual, like it's trying to make him bite everything to pass on the eggs. So that's the only tiny little fault which I can look past, because the final scene where he's pinned Abby down, all the soldiers, Tom and his like Ryan and his Tom, I can't remember, is it Tom Ryan or something? He's also really great in this episode as well. He's got some really good lines. They surround him. They're like, shoot, and Cutter's like, no, don't shoot. And Connor kind of goes down to Tom. He's like, Tom, get off her, mate, and you can fight the dark side, which I really like. He's not patronising, but he's not like, no, don't do it, don't eat her, Tom. He's like kind of joking with him as well. And like they're like, Connor, you too, he's gonna eat you, and he lets Abby go, and he's gonna bite you or kill you. I think he says he's gonna kill you. And Connor like crouches down with him. He's like, he's my best friend. He's like my friend. And then Tom's eyes go demonic and red again, and you think he's gonna bite Connor, and he kind of just falls into him, like onto Connor, like just collapsed, just like so scared and so lost, and really touching moment, because I think that's so perfect. Like, he wouldn't hurt his friend. It's a shame Duncan doesn't really come down, but then again, it's in Duncan's character to be scared. But it would have been great to have the three of them there. But oh well. And it's like Abby's starting to cry, like watching it. It's so sad. They're all just kind of watching, seeing if Connor's gonna get bit. But Connor's like speaking to him like it's all a conspiracy, like because Tom's like it's a conspiracy, wasn't it? He's like, yeah, and he's like, is alien mind control? And Connor's like, yeah, it was, but you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be fine. And then he just dies in Connor's arms, and it's so sad. The music that plays is called Tom Dies, and it's reused. I think it's reused like twice more in the show. Really powerful stuff. It's so emotional, and Connor just falls to bits. Abby's really crying, which I think is great. Like, it shows that Abby cares and she's human. And Claudia looks a bit upset, actually, which I really like. And the highlight of it for me is Cutter is the first person to go down to Connor. No one else. As soon as Tom dies, he like walks down to Connor and just gives him a big hug and is like, because Connor's like, I'm done, I'm finished. If it wasn't for me, Tom would still be here. Tom wouldn't die, and he's really upset. And Cutter's like, there's only a few people in this whole world that know what's going on here, and you're one of them. We need you. And it's kind of, and he's like, and Tom would be so proud of you for doing that. And it's really heartfelt moment because it's like Connor's earned his place. He's not this idiot. Yeah, he's got the brains of all the creatures. He knows what's going on, but he's valued, and I think that's what Connor always wanted to hear from Cutter. And it's a great moment, and they just hug, and the episode finishes. So yeah, that's my review of it. Really, really, really well done episode. All the characters feel like they're really getting into it. All the actors, and like they know their characters now. Really great lines, especially from Claudia, Cutter. That they've become like the subplot of this episode. Cutter and Claudia and Helen. Their little love triangle is starting to emerge. They took the backseat of this episode though and gave it to Connor and, well, it's Tom's episode really, and it really works. I really like this episode. It's a fresh look at it. Like when I used to watch when I was little, when I watched this when it first came out, and when it aired, and I watched it like live at the time. This was always like my least favorite as a kid because it didn't have many creatures. It only had dodos, and they weren't in it for that long. And but now it's a really great character piece, and for me, I'm afraid it's gonna have to be 10 out of 10, which is the first 10 out of 10 I've given so far. So really, really good. The series is so strong so far, and yeah, till the next time when I do episode 5. We're nearly there now. 2 more episodes to go. Sorry I rambled a bit in this video, but I'm just trying to think it all through. I don't want to miss anything out like I did in episode 3. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Brilliant episode, great acting, great lines. Thanking you for watching. Alright, bye.